Hi, this is Dan Sullivan. I'd like to welcome you to the Multiplier Mindset Podcast. I've been in the marketplace as a strategic coach since the 1970s, actually 1974, and you become aware of great speakers, great business philosophers, if you will, or writers. Oftentimes these individuals are motivational speakers who have a gift for saying very wise things in a very memorable way. And one of them that I used to follow was a individual with a very colorful name. His name was Charlie Tremendous Jones, and he was on stage for half a century and had a great following. He had one little thing that I remember, probably have taken this piece of wisdom more to heart than almost anything else I've heard spoken by any other public speaker. And he said that who you will be 10 years from now is a function of two things: the books that you read over the next 10 years and the individuals that you hang out with. So who are your closest friends? Who do you spend more time with over a 10-year period? And that will tell you how successful you can be. Everybody kind of accepts that books are very, very important, that you keep up to date with the latest knowledge that's coming out of authors who have a great deal to say that would be relevant to your business, to your marketplace. So I always keep up to date with those things. But the most important thing is the one that actually has the greatest emotional impact on you, and that is just who is in your closest circles of friends and associates and people that you hang out with. And the key factor here is that their opinion of you really matters. And so how you plan your future and what kind of goals you have and how you take action, they would have something to say about this. And the question is, if you had your eyes on a much bigger future than you have right now, in terms of your performance would jump to a next level, your capabilities would go up, your resources would be much higher, but also that your results would be much higher. And I'll just use an example that we use at the level of strategic coach, and that is 10 times. So if your revenues were to go up by 10 times and your profits were to go up by 10 times, then what would their opinion be of the 5 people whose opinion matters most to you? So would they be thrilled? Would they be excited? Would they be totally supportive of you if you suddenly jumped in a matter of a few years 10 times? Or would they be negative? Would they kind of be upset with you? And would they criticize you for changing your performance and results as an entrepreneur? And this is a crucial question, because if it's negative, it means that you're going to be emotionally affected in a very negative way right at the time when you would want to have all of your energies focused on some very significant breakthroughs in order to increase your revenues and profits by 10 times. So in Strategic Coach, we're aware that virtually everyone who comes into the Strategic Coach program is a very successful person. They have to be because of our qualifications. They have to be very talented because just by meeting our qualifications of personally earning $100,000 a year, they're in a very, very small group of entrepreneurs on the planet. The vast majority of entrepreneurs in the world right now make far less personally than $100,000. And the other thing is that they have to be really ambitious. They have to have in mind a picture of themselves in the future where they're much more successful than they are right now. But in order to do that, to actually jump to the next level, they have to really get their energy together, and they have to be operating in a very positive environment. So the question is, the individuals who are closest to you, and it may be the person you're married to, it may be a family member like a brother or sister, it might be a close friend that you've had, or it's just an individual who you meet, and what they think of you is just very, very important to you. And therefore, if they had a negative attitude towards your greater success, if they criticized you for having bigger goals, I just want you to be aware that that could stop you in your tracks. So when you're planning your bigger future and you're looking for much bigger results in your life, it may be that the 5 closest people to you can't come along with you. And I find that this is the biggest barrier that prevents entrepreneurs from actually growing beyond a certain point. So it's a hard thing to talk about. It's very emotional because it means that if you decided on the goals and you decided on this bigger future, it might be very, very well that you would have to cut your relationship or ignore the relationship and replace this relationship with other relationships. Oftentimes in our program, when entrepreneurs come into the strategic coach, just by the concepts and tools that they learn in the very first year, they make big jumps. Their income jumps, their profitability jumps. But not only that, they have more time and they're able to focus much more extensively and in an intentional way on just certain activities. And so the people who are closest to them in those first 12 months notice an immediate change. They start saying, well, you're kind of different. You're operating differently. I haven't heard you talk like this before. And we used to take about the same amount of free time off, and you're taking a lot more free time off. And I noticed that you seem to have a different attitude, your confidence level, and you keep talking about the future. You didn't used to talk about the future the way you are right now. And this is said with a kind of a disturbed attitude. So what happens oftentimes, we often wonder why someone comes to our program and just makes amazing success in the first year, but doesn't come back for the second year. And I always tell my program advisors, ask them who the 5 most influential people are in their life, and that it's incontestable that they've made great progress. But do these 5 people who are closest to them, whose opinion really matters, are they supporting this? Are they cheering it? Are they applauding the success? And usually the answer is no. I'm having some tremendous conflicts now. People are telling me I'm getting too big for myself, and all of a sudden they don't enjoy being around me anymore. And I will notice entrepreneurs who have a huge future ahead of them, if they would vote for their own future, oftentimes will vote against their future and instead vote to be acceptable to the people who want them to stay the way they are. So this happens everywhere. I mean, it happens in all areas of life anytime an individual starts to grow, but it especially happens with entrepreneurs. So one of the things you always have to keep in mind as you're planning for a bigger and better future is that you have to understand that the 5 people who are closest to you have to be totally on your side, totally supportive of what you're doing. And that way you will always have kind of an atmosphere of positive energy for you. And the more successful you become, the more excited they are for you.